All right. My sister Joan back there and my brother-in-law John, thank you for being here. She's so gracious. Joan is a retired teacher. She's been past president of all kinds of organizations, and I could rattle them off a little bit, but I mainly just want to thank her for being here today. My parents bought this house in 1953, and they raised 7 kids here. And Joan is sort of the matriarch of the family now. I'm wearing my Hoka, Minnesota shirt because Joan and I traveled there at the beginning of the month to celebrate our Uncle Al's 100th birthday. Wow. Hoka. There we go.
Well, this is really exciting. Gives me a chance to talk about this house a little bit, and hope I don't go too long. I'm Joan Langen Fessenden. I met my husband, start way off there. I met my husband at Oceanside Carlsbad Junior College, and the rest is history. Okay, the first thing we know about this house is in 1923, the utilities and easements were applied for. And before that, Kenny thinks this was a state park because he found a marker for a state park up here. And we're wondering who got bought off to sell the state park to some development company. In 1924, records show the house was built, and there's a postcard, a copy of a postcard on the mantle of a fireplace that isn't here anymore, that depicts the realtor's advertising of the house. It was only actually a 1-bedroom, and there was no front porch on it. So this came later, but before we moved in here. When we bought this house, it had been previously owned by a Mrs. Brown, a single mother of at least 3 children, and she died in a car accident. And her son, who was just 20 or around 19 or 20, sold the house. His 2 younger brother and sister went into foster care. And we had heard about that, but in 2010, when my husband and I were in the dining room working on a table here, these people came to the door and asked if they could look around the house because they had lived here before. And it was the kids who had been foster children, and it sounded like they'd had a really rough time after their mother died and their brother sold their house. So they were really happy to see that it had been in the family ever since they left. They took a tour, and I kept in touch with them for a while, but I haven't for a while. Anyway, in 1953, when our mom and dad were 31 and 32, our dad was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. He had been in the Navy in San Diego. There's a book Kenny has around here that I wrote. I typed up all their wartime letters, so if you want to take a look at that or maybe even purchase it, I'm not up here to sell the book though, really. He donated some to the Carlsbad Historical Society or the McGee House, I'm not sure which, so you may have seen them in there too. Anyway, the Mississippi River Valley, Hoka, Minnesota, Crescent, Minnesota, the molds were so bad the doctors thought that was what was making him dizzy, falling down, all these symptoms of multiple sclerosis. They said, move to the Riviera climate between Los Angeles and San Diego. So the last day of school, May 1953, as my brother David, who's a year younger than I am, walked into the yard from school, they had the car packed, a 49 Ford, and they put the 7 of us in the car, and we took off for California. So we had motels. I mean, I've been to one restaurant my whole life before this point. I'm the oldest, I was 10. Gary, my baby brother, was 7 months old. but we got to go to restaurants. We stayed at motels. We stayed at motels in Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Texas, New Mexico, and then finally Needles, California, right?
Yes.
That's California. But can you just imagine us all getting out of this 49 Ford and walking into restaurants here, there, and everywhere. People were offering to buy my sister Ann, who was so cute, and pay for meals and things like that. But it was quite an adventure. As we drove in past San Luis Rey Mission, our angels, all 9 of our guardian angels, got off to look at the mission, and our universal joint went out. I guess they've been holding that up for who knows how many miles.
Wow.
Anyway, we came into Oceanside being towed. Some of us were in the tow truck, some of us were in the car, to the Ford garage on Highway 101. Is that still there? Anyway, we ate at this little restaurant right across the street. They fixed the car. We got back in. This was early June, and started driving down the coast to find a place to stay. There was a really neat little old motel in Cardiff, just south of the little river outlet there. There was a gas station and then the motel, and we got to stay there. And every day Mom and Dad would get us all in the car and we'd go to different realtor offices from La Jolla to Laguna Beach. And finally they met Claude Fennell. Does anybody? Claude Fennell. And he found a couple of houses for us to look at. And this was one. It was kind of old looking. It wasn't some of the kids' favorites, but it was so close to the ocean. This is the one we wanted Mom and Dad to buy. It had all these succulents, which we weren't used to, all these little trellises and things, and nowadays you would really love it, I know, but they tore all of that out. They fixed the house so that the girls didn't have to go through the boys' bedroom to get into the rest of the house. They made that little hallway in there. They cordoned off the dining room for their bedroom. Now it's open, but we did that more recently. We opened it up so you could see the ocean from the kitchen. And so they made a really good home for us here. Dad couldn't work, of course, and Mom cleaned churches and houses, and we kids all had paper routes, and we were so grateful for so many charities that did help us out from time to time. Like the Safeway. One time somebody must have told them at Safeway that Dad's check hadn't come in. He had Mutual of Omaha insurance, $100 a month, and Navy insurance, VA, $163 a month. So that was the main income. And Safeway had this box of groceries they brought to the house. There were so many good people. St. Patrick's, just the whole community. And we're so grateful. They helped us so much. We babysat for a lot of people. The Shorskys, the Pontiuses, the Millers, we just really love this community. And I'd be living here now if I didn't live in San Juan Capistrano. Let me see if there's anything else. Anyway, Dad died in 1972, right after their 30th wedding anniversary, of complications in the Navy hospital. Mom went on to Maricosta College because she didn't have a college degree. Went to Maricosta for 2 years, then went to San Diego State and then USD, and she got her master's. She worked for 10 years at the USD library, and then she developed Alzheimer's, and she died in 2006. So now she left us the house, and now the house is in a trust for our family, so we can all enjoy it. And a lot of people, with Mom having 23 grandchildren, Mom and Dad having 23 grandchildren, a lot of them are married, a lot of great-grandchildren here now. We have 11 grandchildren of our own. They come here all the time. Summer is blocked out for the different families. We already have it set up for the next 2 years. So my sister Judy has died. She lived in Oklahoma, and her 3 sons come out during the summer too to enjoy the house. So our sister Ann lives in Fresno, and David's in Hawaii, and the rest are right here. Richie, Kenny, and Gary. So thank you for listening. Hope I didn't go too long.